Usually when I show up in this space, I try and look slightly more put together, but um, not all the most authentic things don't come out of your mouth when it's planned sometimes. And I have been thinking about a question that was asked to me by Carrie Carr McAvoy when we formed the podcast this week. And in that podcast, she asked, like, when I was healing from abuse, did I notice that a lot of my friendships carried abuse too, or abusive undertones? And the answer is yes. And for me, I remember I had a friend that told me that, and he was saying this as if it was a problem, but basically that I was seeing abuse come up in every area of my life. And he was right. I was. But that's because I had ignored it for so long, or had normalized it. One of the first places that I was seeing it was at my gym. I had gone to CrossFit, and it got to the point, and I had gone for about 6 years to the same gym. I got married, pregnant, divorced, all going there. So, like, they were used to me coming in with my daughter. They were used to me, being late because I'm waiting for a babysitter to show up, but it was a safe space for me for a long time until it wasn't. And when I chose to leave the gym, it was because I was being constantly made fun of for being late, and I was tired of being the butt of every joke. This went on for years, and I didn't feel like this was giving me the strength that I wanted anymore. I didn't feel like I was paying a membership, but didn't feel like I was being treated like a member. And when I asked for some of the jokes to stop, and because it was constant, it would be throughout the whole class, and sometimes I'd be late because my kid had a meltdown, or didn't sleep that night, or maybe I wasn't doing okay. And I finally chose to leave, and it was not because I didn't like the gym anymore, but I didn't like how I was being treated anymore. And losing a member of that length didn't seem to really bother them. And then I really picked it up in friendships. I had noticed early on, and I kind of always knew this about myself, is that I did like people that shot the shit. But people that shot the shit are usually kind of abrasive. I'm kind of abrasive. So, over time, being told all the time I'm too sensitive, I'm too this, I'm too that, it took a big toll on me, and I couldn't be in some friendships in that way anymore. Or I didn't feel appreciated. I didn't feel accepted. I felt like a lot of times people had expectations of me I just couldn't meet. And I'd say that a lot. I'd say that to people that were in my corner and weren't. I'd say, people have expectations of me I just can't meet anymore. I'd say things like, I'm a single mom, and my kid comes first, and I don't want to cancel on you, but I have to. Or, I've had a really hard day today, and I can't make it out because I know it will be too much for me, and what I really need is sleep right now. And when people would get mad at me for canceling or not understanding, or would only hang out with me if I drove to where they are, not really getting that I spent a half an hour in the car, that's $10. It's also a half an hour. It's $10 I have to pay my babysitter, and then I'll have to come all the way back. Agreements to meet halfway were too hard, or I just had to stop. I also noticed that I was always apologizing for my life, apologizing for having tough scheduling, apologizing when I didn't really feel like I did something wrong. but owning my part. And there were a few instances where I really didn't do anything wrong. I wasn't even involved in one particular thing. I wasn't even there when it happened. And I still took accountability, and that friend still hasn't talked to me. And that was in April. And I think sometimes, like, if I just kept pushing, like, if I just kept apologizing, maybe that person who meant a lot to me, was one of my best friends, would have talked to me. But I sent 2 really deep texts. I sent another one saying that I was really hurt, but I didn't even get a response. And there's a hole in my heart because I really valued him. There's been a few other friendships that I realized that if I show up in a certain way and I respond in a certain way, if I cross my T's and dot my I's, and I push away how I actually feel down, then they show up. But I can't do that. Like, that's not a two-way relationship. That's how I've lived a lot of my life. That's the house I grew up in. That's my last relationship. That's my marriage. It was my first relationship too. It's like I can't just show up in a tolerable way. I'm not an abrasive person. I just said I was. Okay, I am abrasive. I do think I need to work on my tone sometimes. I'm very conscious, but I'm also like extremely empathetic. And if I've thought of something, I usually thought about it 35 times before it came out of my mouth. There's a lot of other places I began to see abuse too, but I think when we start seeing it in our friendships, it can make us really lonely because, like, what do you do with that? And I guess it got me to be really much more in touch with my values. My value of parenting and raising a really strong little lady. My work. That does require me to rest, but also learn. Like, it does require me to continuously be in a place of learning and developing. And I guess like a bit of myself, like it helped me listen to myself. Like many times when I would just do what people wanted me to do to prevent hearing about it, I was abandoning myself, and I'm no longer doing that. I don't really do that ever, but I also live a very selective life right now. And so I don't know that this video is supposed to have a warm message at the end, because I'm in that part right now that feels like, all right, I have a few friends that I really care about. Dog's chewing. Kid's gonna kill me. Well, he already ruined it, so let him have it. And I think it is just, though, like when I go to bed at night, I know I'm doing the right thing. Like, I might miss laughing with friends. There's a little girl in another room next to me, and that's always been knowing that I have to wake up for that little person at 5 in the morning every day just means so much more.